whole.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, and retired council member Nate Holden.
Thank you very much, Councilman and Tim Leiweke. Thank you for coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you've asked some very pertinent questions tonight, and I want you to know that I'm not against Leiweke. I've been to his home for dinner.
I want to talk to you about that later, by the way, Nate.
No, you invited me, but I will. But I will say this: that we've been on opposite sides of the issue more than once. But the fact of the matter is very formidable, and a pretty good guy to work with sometimes. But I will tell you this, to give you some background information on how we got to where we are today, starting with the Staples Center. We had 850,000 square feet of convention space. Staples Center took 100,000 square feet and has never been replaced. We allowed them to acquire additional property north of 11th Street from the private sector. It cost about $70 million, $70 or $77 million. A bond measure was floated in order to pay down the service to debt. AEG assumed the responsibility of doing that. It was a Denver corporation at the time. And then they decided that they created a new organization called AEG. AEG did not have the sufficient funding resources to pay down the debt. And so years later, in 2003, August the 11th, they asked the city to relieve them of that responsibility, of the letter of credit. Got it right here in the LA Times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and so what happened is that—
I like debating with you.
Yeah, the vote was 14-1. You see, you went on record saying they demanded the letter of credit in order to pay down the service to debt for the $70 million, period. You gave the letter of credit reluctantly, and then you said years later, about 5, 6 years later, we don't want to be obligated for that. In fact, by taking you off, relieving you of the service and the debt with the letter of credit, it gave you leverage to use your money to do something else. And the city then was on the hook for it. Now, you want to pay it down some other way. And I don't want to get into those details now. It would take too much of my time. And if I were on the city council, I could really put it to you. But let me just, no, I'll finish.
One final comment.
Yeah, one final? Yeah. Oh, let me ask you a question then. My question is, LA Event Center, LLC, is chartered where?
Oh, that's a good legal question, and I'm not an attorney. It could. I'll get back to you. I think it's a California LLC.
No, it's chartered in Delaware.
Delaware.
And in Delaware, the law says, Mr. Rosendahl,
I'm hearing it,
that you have one person could register there, the LLC, in Delaware, and you don't have to know who they are. They don't have to have any meetings, unlike AEG, which is registered in the state of California. Therefore, if you sign an agreement, which they're trying to do with you, with the LA Convention Center, LA Event Center, then you sign it with someone that doesn't exist.
So let me answer those. So you say it's 76, I say it's 55. Whatever the amount of money was that he gave us, we imposed a seat tax upon ourselves. We have paid that seat tax religiously each and every year. And by the way, over a 20-year period of time, Nate, the city will make $110 million on the seat tax compared to the $55 million. In addition to that, everything was built just as we promised, and we have paid almost $100 million of taxes in 2010 to the city, the county, and the state from that particular development. So not only are we generating all of the tax revenues we told you we would with our vision, you're getting a double rate of return on the seat tax. And when we asked to be let off the letter of credit, what you didn't acknowledge there is we pay the next year's funding a year in advance and back that with a letter of credit. And the fact is, in the football deal, we have agreed to post a $50 million letter of credit already. So we have always honored our payments. We have always paid the city on time. We, in fact, in the case of the seat tax, pay the city a year in advance, and they have the money on deposit. We've never missed a payment. We've never been late, and we generate $100 million worth of taxes, and we doubled the investment you made in us right back to the city.
And I close with too much statement. All right.
Don't tell them to stop applauding.
The fact of the matter is this. In Joe Wax's deal, we gave you $12 million of CRA money. You can't deny it, which I said was a mistake in the first place. They gave you the money for doing absolutely nothing. You used part of that money later on. I told you to give it back. You didn't. You said, I won't give it back. I said, you got it wrongly. You know, we had that discussion. And you also, on the South Hall of the convention, we floated a $500 million bond, which created a debt of $1.2 billion to build South Hall, to bring those conventions back in here. You reduced our convention space by 100,000 square feet to 750,000 square feet. You plan to take away 250,000 square feet to build the West Hall. And I tell you this, you say, how are you going to pay $80 million to refurbish the West Hall? Using bed tax that we used to pay down to $1.2 billion, down to $300 million right now for the South Hall, that we put another $500 million in. We can do it. Your plan is to manage the schedule for the convention, LA Live and all, or you be in competition with LA Convention Center.
Now, Nate, you're a smart guy, right? Where does the bed tax go to? Where's the TOT go to right now? Where does the TOT go to right now, Nate? You know this answer. Don't do this. Be a man. Stand up. Where does the TOT go to right now?
Here, take this mic. Go ahead.
Where does the TOT go to right now?
I'm right back home.
Where does the TOT go to right now?
Bed tax?
Where does the TOT go to right now in the city of Los Angeles?
What's the TOT?
That's the bed tax. Where does
the bed tax? I said it goes to pay the service to debt.
No, it doesn't. It goes to the general fund. So Nate, you want to take the TOT and now use that to pay down the $80 million necessary to renovate the West Hall. We're going to cut further police and further firemen because it comes out of the general fund.
How do we reduce the obligation of the convention center from $1.2 billion? Wait a minute. Down to $300 million, we use it from the TOT tax.
That comes out of the general fund.
Well, we put the money in the general fund for that purpose.
If you pull $80 million out of the general fund, you're taking police officers off the street.
No, wait. The way to please.
No,
I will. But the fact of the matter is that at every major sports event in the city of Los Angeles, including the Dodgers, we pay for traffic control officers and we pay for police, additional police that we put out there, and you don't pay for that.
You want to make a bet? I'll make you a bet right now that we pay and reimburse LAPD, LA Fire Department, and LA Department of Transportation for every member that works every one of our events at Staples Center. And if you don't believe it, call the chief tomorrow and you ask him, have we ever not reimbursed him for services, including the parades and the Michael Jackson Memorial? We wrote a check.
All right. And my former colleague, who is retired, he'll be coming to the committee meeting, so we'll continue to hear him. I appreciate his comments. Tony, this is Tony who put it